What's up everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can go about becoming a web designer yourself. Website design and UI design is very big at the moment, and with the development of the internet and other technologies, learning this has become a hell of a lot more accessible than it used to be. You don't necessarily need to go to college or university to earn yourself a degree in order to become a web designer. For any of you budding creatives out there looking to kickstart your website design career in 2020, then stick around because I'm going to run through exactly what you need to be doing in order to start that journey. First things first, guys, you need to be patient. Now, this is not going to happen overnight, and nothing in life that you become good at ever happens overnight. It takes hard work and consistency. So be patient, keep grinding, and I promise you, you will progress every single day. In order to get started, you're going to need to learn your tools. Now, what do I mean by tools? Now, as a website designer or even a UI designer, you're going to need to learn your art packages. So, for example, we have Sketch or Figma. Now, these two tools are very modern and they are great for producing both high fidelity and low fidelity mockups. They also have an awesome prototyping feature, which essentially means that you as a designer can put together all of your design mockups and then start producing clickable, linkable elements from one page to another and end up with a really sort of basic working model of a design or an application. It probably wouldn't hurt to learn Photoshop as well. Now, there's argument that Photoshop is becoming a little bit dated, and I somewhat agree, especially with the other apps that are available on the market these days. However, occasionally a client or a developer will need you to produce the artwork within Photoshop. So take a little bit of time and understand how Photoshop works, but predominantly I'd probably stick with Figma or Sketch. The next thing that you can be doing is looking at the pros. Now, what do I mean by this? You need to be looking at other professional websites or apps that exist, study them, and see how they work. Look out for conventions. Now, a convention is something that is consistent from one app to another. So a hamburger menu, for example, is a design convention. Likewise, on a website, the top header of a website is a convention because that is standardized across all websites that you tend to see these days. Off the back of this, you'll quickly get an idea of how you yourself can produce a website design or UI design mockup. In addition to this, I'd recommend that you go look at a website called Dribble. Now, Dribble is an online community for designers that have a huge collection of phenomenal designers. What I'd recommend you do is sign up to Dribble, make a search for website design or UI design, or use whatever search tools that are available there, and just look at everything that has been published. Now, off the back of a search, by default, it will order things by popularity, which is great because you can see the things that are epic, essentially. But you also want to be cautious and see when this mock-up was produced, because if it's 5 years old, although it might look great, a lot has changed in the last 5 years. So you need to be mindful of that. Next, read some books. Well, actually, I'd probably recommend you go and read some blogs. There's a lot more out there. A couple of blogs that I would recommend is Awards. That is great for checking out the most recent and really high level designs and industry news. The next one I recommend is Smasher Magazine. Now, I've been a fan of this for a long time, and often I'll just go in and check out what is new and current. It keeps me aware of trends and changes that I need to be aware of in order to do my job as a web designer. So yeah, go check that out as well. However, one book that I absolutely would recommend every web designer or UI designer or even UX designers should read is called Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Now, there's been a couple of versions of this, but I think the most recent at the moment is volume 3. This also includes mobile responsive design. It's an awesome book and it really gets you thinking about how you produce really nice and easy to use websites and applications. So the best approach for me personally is to just get stuck in and do it. Now, if you're that person as well, then I recommend going to check out some online tutorials. They will guide you step by step on how to do specific tasks, and eventually you'll start building up a pretty strong foundation of how to do things. So as a designer, I think it's important to learn to code. The best place that you can go to do this is Codecademy. Now, Codecademy is a great online tool for learning things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, tons of JavaScript libraries that are current at the moment. And if you are looking to work with WordPress as well, it also includes PHP. Now, PHP is the language that WordPress is built up on. That's why I recommend you go and check that out as well. If you're not so strong at coding at the moment, you can go and check out something called Webflow. Now, Webflow allows you to produce custom websites from the ground up using essentially a WYSIWYG editor. So what you see is what you get. It's incredibly powerful, and they have a really well put together library of tutorials on how you can use that platform. So moving on, guys, this one is incredibly important. You need to change your way of thinking. And by this, I mean physically pick yourself up and put yourself in the user's shoes. Now, why do you need to do this? You need to appreciate that you are not the one using the application, although you might be, but predominantly other people from around the world are going to be using this. Now, you need to start off by thinking about what type of users will be visiting. If it's a website, it could be anyone. You need to try and understand the demographic that you are targeting. This goes for user interface applications as well. This, guys, actually is a really hard thing to do, which is why we undergo user testing and all of that stuff. Oh, and let's not forget, it's probably best that you assume that every single user is dumb. I mean, like, really dumb. And by doing this, it allows you to just take a step back and start producing something that is incredibly easy to use. Now, the easier it is to use, the better your design is. And finally, the best thing you can do is just practice. Just practice, practice, practice. Just focus on small little bits every single day. Perhaps set yourself a little task a day, tackle that, and then set a new one for the next day. But honestly, I cannot stress enough how much you need to practice. It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes consistency. Have a go at looking at existing websites or apps, critiquing them, maybe try and improve them, change them, produce any sort of design that you feel fit. One thing I used to do a lot myself was I spent a lot of time producing pretty much pointless, wacky website designs that were never going to be used, and they were just based on things that I had an interest in myself, and which essentially meant that I enjoyed doing them. But the idea of this was to enable me to start thinking perhaps outside the box and just having fun with my layouts and producing a nice composition, which essentially led me to producing better designs for the work that mattered. Perhaps practice having a go at wireframing as well. And this is great for producing really low fidelity box layouts. It allows you to start appreciating how a website or UI app is laid out traditionally. And once you have your wireframe, you might want to look at them producing that into a high fidelity digital design. And then you'll start understanding the process of producing a website from start to finish. Once you have your digital design, then have a look at how you can go about coding that, whether that is from HTML and CSS, or producing it into WordPress, or even using Webflow. Just by doing that, you'll start to appreciate the process of producing a website from nothing all the way to having a nice, finished, polished website. So guys, that's it. Just by completing all of the things that I've just spoken about consistently, I promise you, you'll be on your way to becoming a great web designer from 2020 onwards. If you do have any questions or things you want to talk to me about, hit me up in the comments and I will be in touch. If you are enjoying these videos and want to keep learning about how you can become a better designer or learn how to manage your websites effectively, then guys, hit that subscribe button and I'll continue putting these out because I'm enjoying them. But for now, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.